For centuries, humanity had looked to the stars with a mixture of curiosity and cautious optimism. We had sent probes to the outer planets, mapped distant star systems, and monitored the cosmos for signs of life. We had imagined alien civilizations as theoretical constructs, probable but distant and almost certainly peaceful. That illusion shattered in the span of a single night. It began with a series of irregular readings detected by the Deep Space Surveillance Array, a network of orbital and planetary telescopes designed to monitor gravitational anomalies, cosmic radiation, and electromagnetic disturbances. At first, the anomalies were dismissed as data glitches, satellite interference, solar flares, or miscalibrated sensors. But as the hours passed, a pattern emerged: thousands of objects moving in a coordinated trajectory toward the solar system. They were not comets, asteroids, or natural phenomena. They were organized, deliberate, and unmistakably artificial. Dr. Elena Martinez, lead astrophysicist at the International Space Observation Consortium, was the first to publicly warn of the anomaly. On the live feed, her voice was calm but laced with urgency. "We are observing thousands of objects approaching Earth from interstellar space," she said. "Their formation, speed, and precision indicate intelligent control. This is not a drill." Immediately, the news sent ripples through global military and scientific communities. Earth's defense networks activated first contact protocols that had remained theoretical for decades. Satellites in geosynchronous orbit began tracking the incoming fleet in high resolution. Supercomputers calculated potential trajectories, speeds, and impact scenarios. The numbers were staggering: hundreds of massive ships, each comparable to the largest human aircraft carriers, moving at velocities beyond any propulsion system humanity had ever developed. Estimates suggested that if these vessels were hostile, entire continents could be at risk. Governments convened emergency meetings in secure facilities, bypassing bureaucratic delays. For the first time in recorded history, humanity faced a threat that was not just local or terrestrial but cosmic. The United Nations Security Council issued a global alert, calling for cooperation between every major spacefaring nation. National space agencies pooled their resources, sharing satellite data, radar feeds, and AI-driven predictive models. The world collectively realized that survival depended on unity. Despite the clarity of the threat, there was no panic, only methodical preparation. Humanity had trained for first contact scenarios, but never for a full-scale invasion. The alien fleet's approach forced every nation to consider worst-case outcomes. Emergency evacuation plans were reviewed. Orbital defense stations were put on high alert. Civilian networks were instructed to conserve bandwidth for essential communications. Every human being with access to monitoring systems watched the sky with a mixture of awe and dread. On board the orbital platforms, the crew of the Polaris 7 orbital station observed the incoming fleet with precision instruments. Lieutenant Commander Akira Sato, an experienced veteran of deep space reconnaissance missions, stood before a wall of holographic displays, tracking hundreds of moving points of light. "They're moving in formation," he reported, his voice steady. "This isn't exploratory. It's coordinated. They're approaching at a speed that gives us minimal reaction time." Analysts compared the alien fleet's formation patterns to known military tactics. There were flanking maneuvers, overlapping defensive shields, and decoy clusters designed to confuse sensors. Even without knowing the technology behind the ships, the strategic logic was clear. This was a force capable of sustained combat operations on an interstellar scale. Humanity had never seen anything like it, and the realization struck the observers with cold clarity. The enemy was not only advanced, it was intelligent, disciplined, and prepared for war. In the following hours, humanity began to assess its own capabilities in stark terms. Orbital weapons platforms, previously relegated to minor defense and research, were repositioned to strategic intercept zones. Missile arrays were prepared, electromagnetic pulse cannons calibrated, and laser defense grids powered to maximum output. Even experimental technologies such as kinetic impactor systems designed to redirect asteroids were repurposed as emergency weapons. Every nation scrambled to maximize its defensive footprint in space. Public communication was carefully managed. Leaders addressed the world with calm resolve. "We are aware of an approaching alien fleet," said Secretary General Yen Zhao during a live broadcast. "Our scientists and military strategists are assessing the situation. Humanity has faced challenges before, and we will respond with intelligence and coordination. Panic will not serve us. Preparedness will." Still, beneath the official statements, the tension was palpable. Cities across the globe saw unusual patterns of activity. Airports grounded flights, naval vessels were deployed to international waters, and citizen observation groups reported unusual visual phenomena as the first glimpses of the fleet became visible through high-powered telescopes. Social media buzzed with speculation, fear, and awe. News networks scrambled to provide accurate reporting while avoiding hysteria. The human psyche, conditioned for planetary-scale threats, was suddenly confronted with the unimaginable scale of a galactic incursion. The fleet itself was a spectacle unlike any in human history. Even at astronomical distances, the ships reflected light in strange, calculated ways. Some were geometric, almost crystalline in structure, while others were massive, elongated forms that hinted at internal systems far beyond human comprehension. Sensors detected energy emissions that did not match any known physics, localized gravitational distortions, unexplained radiation patterns, and fields that interfered with standard communication signals. Humanity was observing not just technology, but a level of engineering that suggested centuries, or millennia, of advancement beyond our own. Despite the alien fleet's apparent superiority, humanity did not falter. Commanders emphasized intelligence over intimidation. Recon drones were launched to gather close-range data, transmitting back schematics of alien hulls, shield patterns, and energy signatures. Scientists began reverse engineering potential weaknesses, running millions of simulations to anticipate fleet behavior. For the first time, Earth's collective ingenuity was being tested against a truly alien mind. Nightfall brought an eerie contrast. While billions of people slept unaware, the orbital platforms continued tracking the approaching threat. The glowing points of the fleet appeared like distant stars, yet every observer knew the difference. These were not natural phenomena. They were harbingers of a conflict that humanity could not yet define. And for the first time, the world collectively understood the stakes. Survival was no longer theoretical. Humanity would have to rise to the challenge, or face extinction. By the time the fleet entered the outer bounds of the solar system, humanity had completed a preliminary defense grid. Stations were networked across orbits, fleets repositioned, and predictive algorithms running at peak capacity. Every nation's best minds were united, analyzing data in real time. And yet, even with all preparation, the enormity of the task was undeniable. The aliens were approaching faster than expected, their numbers were immense, and their intentions were unmistakably hostile. The coming days would test not only technology but human resolve, strategy, and the capacity for calm under unprecedented pressure. As the world watched the first images of the fleet transmitted from deep space reconnaissance satellites, a shared understanding crystallized. This was first contact, but it was nothing like any peaceful encounter humanity had imagined. The stars were no longer empty, they were alive with threat. And in that realization, every human being felt both fear and determination. Humanity had survived countless crises, from natural disasters to global conflicts, but this was a challenge on a scale never before experienced. The difference was that now, every person understood one fundamental truth: the universe was not indifferent and we were not alone. For the first time, humanity truly grasped its place in the cosmos. The alien fleet was approaching, massive and organized, a testament to a civilization far beyond our own. Yet we were not paralyzed by awe. We were aware, prepared, and beginning to act. Strategy replaced panic, coordination replaced chaos, and intelligence replaced superstition. In the cold, silent expanse of space, the first signs of the alien fleet were more than a threat. They were the beginning of humanity's reckoning with the stars. The first images of the alien fleet flashing across the screens of Earth's command centers had sent a shockwave through the planet, but there was no time to dwell on fear. Humanity's survival depended on immediate, coordinated action. Leaders convened in secure facilities worldwide, from subterranean bunkers in Geneva to orbital command stations circling Earth, where every decision had to be measured, precise, and timely. The United Nations had long anticipated the possibility of extraterrestrial contact, even if not outright invasion. Protocols existed, largely theoretical, untested, but now they were put into action. Emergency summits were convened via encrypted communication channels, bringing together the heads of state, defense ministers, and leading scientists from every space-capable nation. For the first time, humanity was not fragmented by politics. The threat was too universal, too immediate. A single, coordinated planetary defense would be essential. Earth's military assets were deployed in record time. Naval fleets mobilized across the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, not only to protect coastal cities but to act as part of a layered defense network. Orbital platforms were repositioned into strategic grids, creating overlapping fields of observation and fire. The planet's most advanced satellites, previously dedicated to weather monitoring or communication, were repurposed for deep space surveillance, their sensors focused on the approaching alien vessels. Every possible asset, no matter how unconventional, was brought into play. Dr. Ibrahim Al-Khalil, a lead strategist at the Global Space Defense Initiative, worked alongside engineers and military analysts to model the alien fleet's approach. "We have hours, not days," he said during a classified briefing. "Their trajectory shows coordinated formations, decoys, and energy signatures beyond our comprehension. We cannot assume brute force will suffice. We must be precise, adaptive, and coordinated. Humanity's survival depends on strategy." The first challenge was sheer scale. The alien fleet was massive. Estimates suggested hundreds of capital-class ships and thousands of smaller support vessels. Each ship emitted energy patterns that indicated advanced propulsion systems and shielding, capable of absorbing attacks that would obliterate conventional human craft. Initial simulations showed that even combined global firepower could only delay the fleet by hours, not destroy it outright. The key would be targeting critical nodes, command ships, and communication arrays, rather than attempting to fight the entire fleet head-on. To achieve this, Earth's defense forces implemented a multi-layered strategy. High-orbit stations were equipped with missile interceptors, laser arrays, and kinetic impactors. Satellites were networked with AI-driven targeting systems to identify weaknesses in the fleet's formation. Surface-based facilities provided long-range artillery support, electromagnetic pulse generators, and early warning systems. Even experimental technology, orbital railguns, asteroid-based kinetic weapons, was deployed as part of contingency plans. Nothing could be left unused, every edge counted. Coordination across borders was unprecedented. Space agencies shared proprietary sensor data, previously considered sensitive, to ensure real-time situational awareness. Military analysts used predictive algorithms to simulate alien maneuvers, allowing Earth's fleet to respond proactively. Each decision was layered. If one defensive position failed, another was ready to engage, creating a chain of redundancies designed to maximize survival probability. Humanity was preparing for war at a scale never before encountered. Yet even as plans were set in motion, the human element remained critical. Training exercises had prepared operators for simulated combat, but the real situation was unpredictable. Communication officers worked around the clock, translating sensor readings and coordinating fire across multiple time zones. Pilots and orbital crews practiced maneuvers in real-time simulations, integrating intelligence from AI predictions. Every human being involved was acutely aware that even a minor error could have global consequences. Public communication played a delicate role. Governments issued statements to maintain calm without concealing the gravity of the situation. "We are aware of an incoming alien fleet," said Secretary General Yen Zhao in a global broadcast. "Our scientists and military forces are fully engaged. Humanity has faced adversity before. We will respond with intelligence, coordination, and resolve. Remain vigilant, follow instructions, and trust in our combined efforts." News outlets worldwide balanced transparency with the need to avoid mass panic. Schools, hospitals, and transport systems prepared for contingency operations. The planet was in a state of heightened readiness, every citizen contributing in some way to the global effort. As hours passed, Earth's commanders analyzed the alien fleet's behavior. Despite their apparent technological superiority, the aliens showed patterns reminiscent of terrestrial military logic. Overlapping formations, protective flanks, and supply support ships positioned behind frontline vessels. Humanity had never faced a war on this scale, yet the alien strategies provided insight into potential vulnerabilities. Analysts worked tirelessly, identifying nodes where human weapons could exploit structural weaknesses, energy output patterns, or predictable flight paths. Each calculation became a potential lifesaver. Meanwhile, orbital reconnaissance continued, capturing high-resolution images and energy signatures of the alien vessels. These images revealed startling details. Hulls designed with geometries unknown to human engineering, energy shields that pulsed rhythmically, and engines that defied known physics. Scientists cataloged each observation, running simulations to predict failure points and energy thresholds. Humanity's approach was not to overwhelm the aliens, but to outthink them. Intelligence, coordination, and adaptability were humanity's weapons in a war against a species with millennia of technological advantage. Global manufacturing networks shifted into high gear. Missile production, satellite relays, and repair facilities worked around the clock. Supply chains, previously optimized for civilian industries, were redirected toward defense. Engineers and scientists collaborated with military units to implement solutions at speeds previously considered impossible. Humanity's resilience was on full display, not arrogance but competence under pressure, driven by necessity. As the fleet neared the outer planets, the first skirmishes in deep space were simulated across global war rooms. Tactical decisions were tested in real time. Should squadrons engage in small-scale strikes or wait to concentrate firepower at critical points? How could gravity wells, asteroid belts, and planetary shadows be used to humanity's advantage? Every choice was weighted, calculated, and reconsidered. There was no room for improvisation without analysis. Humanity relied on intellect, not bravado. By the end of the first day, Earth's unified defense network had achieved a remarkable level of readiness. Fleets were positioned strategically across orbits and interplanetary space. Orbital platforms were fully armed and networked. AI-driven prediction models were integrated with human decision-making. The world's attention, previously scattered across politics, entertainment, and commerce, had narrowed to a single objective: survival. Humanity had faced challenges before, but never on a scale that spanned the solar system. Yet, despite the preparation, uncertainty remained. The alien fleet's approach was measured, relentless, and enigmatic. Signals intercepted by Earth's deep space arrays suggested levels of intelligence that humans could only speculate about. Were they explorers misinterpreted as invaders, or a civilization bent on conquest? The distinction mattered little in the moment. Humanity had to act as if the threat were existential. In the silence between simulations and strategy sessions, the human element persisted. Operators on orbital stations watched distant points of light representing alien ships, knowing that every decision they made could tip the balance between survival and annihilation. Scientists worked tirelessly to interpret incoming data, refining predictions in real time. Military commanders coordinated global assets with precision, a testament to decades of preparation and ingenuity. Humanity was not omnipotent, but it was capable, organized, and resolute. By nightfall, the first wave of alien reconnaissance drones entered the outer solar system. Earth's early warning systems detected them instantly. Interceptor squadrons were deployed, not to destroy but to monitor, disrupt, and relay intelligence. These initial engagements would inform the broader strategy for the fleet's arrival. Humanity was learning quickly. Every exchange provided insight, every maneuver revealed patterns. Intelligence, adaptability, and coordination would determine the outcome more than raw firepower. The first day of global response ended with a quiet, uneasy optimism. Humanity had mobilized faster, smarter, and more effectively than any individual nation could have imagined. The alien fleet had not yet engaged in direct combat, but Earth's defenses were active, integrated, and adaptive. Humanity's first act of resistance was not destruction. It was preparation, strategy, and unity. For the first time in history, the world faced an extraterrestrial threat with a coordinated plan that leveraged intelligence over panic, adaptability over brute force, and competence over fear. In that moment, the planet collectively understood a subtle truth: survival in the cosmos would not be won by weapons alone, nor by luck. It would be won by the application of intellect, the coordination of minds across continents and orbits, and the unwavering resolve of a species capable of rising to the occasion. Humanity was not invincible, but it was ready. The tension that had gripped Earth for days finally manifested as humanity's orbital forces detected the alien vanguard crossing the edge of the Kuiper Belt. The first ships were immense, far larger than anything Earth had ever constructed, and moving with a deliberate precision that suggested both purpose and experience in combat. It was the moment every defense planner had trained for, theorized about, and feared. The difference was that now theory would collide with reality. Command centers worldwide were silent except for the rhythmic tapping of analysts and the occasional directive from senior officers. Lieutenant Commander Akira Sato, stationed aboard the Polaris 7 orbital command station, stared at the holographic display showing the approaching fleet. Hundreds of points of light, representing alien vessels, glowed against the black void, arranged in geometric formations that suggested both offensive and defensive intentions. "They know we're here," he said softly. "This is not reconnaissance. This is engagement." The first shots of war were not cinematic explosions but careful, calculated measures. Earth's orbital platforms activated long-range missile interceptors, not to destroy the fleet outright, impossible at this distance, but to test shields and reaction times. Electromagnetic pulse emitters pulsed briefly, seeking to disrupt alien sensor arrays, while unmanned reconnaissance drones flitted along the fleet's periphery, transmitting high-resolution scans back to Earth in real time. Humanity's strategy was clear: gather intelligence, probe weaknesses, and avoid unnecessary losses. Even as the humans executed these maneuvers, the alien fleet responded. Energy pulses, unlike any weapon system previously catalogued, streaked through space, illuminating the void in bursts of blinding light. They were precise, aimed not randomly, but with intent, testing the orbital defense's range and reaction protocols. Analysts on Earth quickly recalculated threat models. The aliens had far faster targeting and propulsion capabilities than any human craft. Conventional weapons were less effective than expected, but patterns began to emerge. Every alien strike revealed information, exposing firing arcs, shield recharge times, and maneuver tendencies. Human commanders made use of those insights immediately. Small orbital fighter squadrons executed coordinated flanking maneuvers, using Jupiter's gravity well to mask their approach. Decoys, previously discarded as experimental, drew alien fire away from critical human installations. Every strike, every movement was meticulously calculated. Humanity was learning, adapting, and countering in real time, not with blind aggression but with intelligence and patience. On board the Polaris 7, Sato and his team coordinated attacks with analysts across the globe. They calculated trajectories to maximize kinetic impact against alien hulls, taking into account shields, energy dispersal, and orbital dynamics. "We can't just throw fire at them," Sato said. "Every action must be deliberate. Every shot must count." It was a subtle confidence, HFY in its purest form, humanity acting not as gods, but as adaptable strategists in a dangerous cosmos. Meanwhile, Earth's surface facilities were not idle. Ground-based laser arrays, previously intended for space debris management, were repurposed to provide additional firepower. Electromagnetic pulse generators tested the limits of alien shielding, sending calibrated bursts to probe vulnerabilities. Satellite networks relayed sensor data instantaneously, feeding predictive models that recommended optimal firing sequences and orbital maneuvers. Every human hand, every mind, every machine was engaged in a symphony of coordinated defense. The alien fleet advanced methodically. Their approach suggested both caution and confidence. They were powerful but measured. Analysts noted repeated patterns, formations shifting in response to human probes, small adjustments that indicated high-level strategy. It became clear that this was not merely a test of strength. The aliens were assessing, adapting, and responding to human tactics. The realization was sobering. Humanity was not fighting a mindless machine, but an intelligent adversary. The stakes could not have been higher. As the first significant exchange occurred near Saturn's orbit, humanity's strategy began to yield results. Missiles guided by AI-driven targeting systems struck command modules of smaller alien vessels, temporarily disabling shields and propulsion. Kinetic impactors, launched from orbital platforms, collided with support ships, creating controlled disruptions in alien formations. The battle was methodical and analytical. No single human ship could overpower an alien vessel, but coordinated strikes were effective at weakening the overall structure of the fleet. Earth's leaders watched the unfolding events with cautious optimism. Every maneuver, every strike, and every tactical decision was documented in real time. Lessons from the initial engagement would inform subsequent strategies as the fleet moved closer to the inner planets. Military analysts emphasized the importance of restraint. Humanity could not waste resources on desperate attacks, nor could it afford panic. Precision, patience, and intelligence would determine the outcome. On board Polaris 7, tension was palpable. Human crews worked around the clock, monitoring shield stability, calculating intercept trajectories, and coordinating multi-pronged responses. "They're fast but predictable in some ways," Sato observed. "Every action they take reveals an opening if we're paying attention." It was the essence of HFY, humanity's strength not in supernatural power, but in observation, strategy, and adaptability. Meanwhile, deep space reconnaissance continued to feed crucial intelligence. Drones captured structural details of alien hulls, analyzed energy pulse frequencies, and even tracked minor ship-to-ship communications. Every piece of data was vital, allowing Earth's commanders to predict alien responses, anticipate maneuvers, and adjust defense protocols in real time. The battle was as much information warfare as it was kinetic, with human intellect playing a decisive role. The first major human offensive occurred when a coordinated strike targeted a group of alien support ships. Using gravitational slingshots and synchronized missile launches, humans were able to neutralize several vessels without exposing critical assets. It was a calculated risk, requiring precise timing, coordination, and a deep understanding of orbital mechanics. The success marked a turning point in the engagement. Humanity was no longer solely reacting, it was shaping the battle. As the hours progressed, the alien fleet adjusted its tactics. Energy pulses became more unpredictable, formations shifted more dynamically, and smaller vessels were deployed in harassment roles to disrupt human coordination. Yet, humanity adapted in turn, using predictive algorithms to anticipate shifts, employing decoys to draw fire, and maintaining constant communication across command centers worldwide. The engagement was tense, measured, and realistic. No dramatic explosions filled the skies, but every maneuver carried life-or-death consequences. The psychological impact on human crews was immense. Operators experienced fatigue, stress, and the constant awareness of mortality, yet discipline prevailed. Training, preparation, and a deep understanding of strategy enabled human crews to function under extreme pressure. It was a subtle, intelligent confidence. The HFY spirit manifested not as arrogance, but as the quiet knowledge that humanity could rise to meet unprecedented challenges. By the end of the first full day of engagement, the alien vanguard had been delayed, but not destroyed. The battle had revealed vulnerabilities in the fleet's formations, exposed weaknesses in certain ships, and provided invaluable intelligence. Earth's forces had suffered minor casualties, but the response had been measured, calculated, and effective. Humanity had survived first contact under fire, not by overwhelming power, but by strategy, coordination, and intelligence. The lessons were clear. Brute force alone could not defeat this enemy. Success depended on observation, analysis, adaptability, and unity. Humanity had proven it could respond to extraterrestrial threat with competence and ingenuity. The HFY moment was subtle yet profound. Humans were not gods or invincible warriors, they were thinkers, planners, and resilient strategists capable of protecting their world against a vastly superior force. As the alien fleet retreated slightly to reorganize, Earth's command centers across the globe paused only briefly before analyzing every detail, every energy spike, and every maneuver. New strategies were formulated. Small adjustments in orbital platforms, missile sequences, and drone patterns promised incremental advantages in the next engagement. Humanity was learning faster than the enemy expected, and every calculation brought us closer to surviving the broader conflict. The first contact under fire had ended, but the war was only beginning. Humanity had seen the enemy, understood the scale of the threat, and responded with intelligence, coordination, and calm resolve. The alien fleet was formidable, but humanity had demonstrated that strategy and adaptability could level the playing field. For the first time, Earth had faced the unimaginable, and the planet had risen to the challenge. The alien fleet loomed larger as it crossed the orbit of Uranus, a silent, organized menace in the vast emptiness of space. Despite its technological superiority, it was not invincible. Humanity's commanders had realized something crucial. Raw power alone would not secure survival. The key to victory, or at least survival, lay in strategy, coordination, and leveraging the environment. This was a war of wits as much as weapons, a lesson that would define humanity's first true engagement with an extraterrestrial civilization. From orbital command stations to ground-based control centers, analysts scrutinized every movement of the alien formation. Patterns emerged. The aliens favored predictable flanking maneuvers, repeated shield cycling, and specific angles for energy pulse deployment. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but visible to trained eyes and AI-assisted algorithms. Every predictable motion became an opportunity, every routine an exploitable weakness. Humanity's forces would not outgun the invaders, they would outthink them. Lieutenant Commander Akira Sato observed the alien vanguard's approach from Polaris 7. His team had integrated live reconnaissance data with predictive modeling software, simulating every conceivable maneuver the aliens might take. "They're disciplined but predictable," he said. "We need to guide them into positions that expose their vulnerabilities. Firepower alone won't win this, intelligence will." It was a subtle confidence that was emblematic of HFY. Humans were not omnipotent, but they were adaptable and clever. One of the first tactical innovations involved using the solar system itself as a weapon. Jupiter's massive gravity well became a natural tool for accelerating missiles and spacecraft. By launching kinetic projectiles along carefully calculated trajectories, Human forces amplified impact forces without expending additional energy. Asteroid fields, previously considered hazards, were now deployed as shields and obstacles. The alien fleet sensors were advanced, but the chaotic environment of the outer solar system forced them to adjust in ways that slowed their advance and exposed their flanks. Decoys and misinformation also played a crucial role. Small, inexpensive drones simulated fleet movements, drawing alien fire away from critical human assets. High-powered lasers targeted only specific points of alien ships, enough to confuse their targeting systems without depleting human energy reserves. Every engagement became a study in efficiency. Every shot, every maneuver, every decision was calculated to achieve maximum effect with minimal expenditure. Humanity was turning limitations into advantages, transforming perceived weakness into tactical strength. On the surface, human crews remained calm but alert. Operators at orbital stations worked in shifts around the clock, constantly analyzing sensor data, refining missile trajectories and coordinating drone formations. Scientists on Earth simulated alien responses using predictive AI, identifying patterns in energy dispersal, shield recharge rates and firing arcs. Each new insight was immediately translated into operational adjustments. Humanity's strength was not brute force. It was observation, anticipation, and the ability to adapt faster than the enemy could. One of the most daring maneuvers involved exploiting communication delays across the alien fleet. By using electromagnetic interference and targeted energy bursts, humans were able to temporarily disrupt coordination among several vessels. During that brief window, small human squadrons executed synchronized strikes, targeting key energy nodes and propulsion systems. The results were measured but meaningful. Several alien ships were temporarily disabled, forcing the fleet to adjust formation and slowing their advance toward the inner planets. Even the aliens' advanced sensors were not infallible. Humans observed that their energy pulse emissions followed rhythmic cycles, likely a limitation of energy management or shield regeneration. By timing attacks to coincide with low points in the cycle, humans could maximize damage while conserving resources. Small human vessels, using the shadows of moons and asteroids, conducted reconnaissance runs and low-risk strikes, gathering additional intelligence on alien capabilities. Every engagement reinforced a central lesson: intelligence and adaptability could compensate for technological gaps. Meanwhile, human leadership emphasized coordination across all assets. Orbital platforms, ground-based laser arrays, and naval support vessels were networked in a synchronized command and control system. AI algorithms analyzed alien fleet responses in real time, suggesting minor adjustments to firing sequences, orbital maneuvers and reconnaissance patterns. The result was a seamless integration of human decision-making and machine precision. Humanity's greatest weapon was not a single cannon or missile. It was the collective intelligence and coordination of the species itself. Morale among human crews remained steady, a testament to preparation, discipline, and purpose. Unlike the alien fleet, whose scale implied centuries of hierarchical command, human operators were adaptable, capable of making rapid adjustments based on incomplete information. Mistakes could be corrected immediately, insights could be applied dynamically. It was a subtle form of HFY confidence. Humans did not assume invincibility, but they trusted their ingenuity and adaptability in the face of overwhelming odds. The tactical emphasis on indirect engagement proved crucial. Instead of confronting the alien fleet head-on, humans focused on creating friction, forcing the invaders to expend energy and resources to maintain formation. Energy pulses were intercepted with minimal expenditure, decoy drones scattered alien attention, and gravitational slingshots maximized kinetic impact without additional fuel. Every maneuver was calculated to reduce risk while maintaining pressure. Humanity was shaping the battlefield itself, using the cosmos as a force multiplier. By the end of the first day of coordinated tactical operations, humanity had achieved significant operational successes. Several alien support vessels were temporarily disabled, key formations had been disrupted, and valuable intelligence had been gathered on energy cycles, shield limitations and communication patterns. Casualties were minimal relative to potential losses, and the human fleet had demonstrated its ability to adapt quickly to a dynamic and superior adversary. Commanders on Earth and in orbit emphasized lessons learned. Predictable behavior could be exploited, environmental factors could be weaponized, and coordination across all human assets amplified effectiveness. While the alien fleet remained formidable, humanity had demonstrated the central principle of HFY. Intelligence, strategy, and adaptability could level the playing field, even against seemingly insurmountable technological power. As the alien fleet retreated slightly to reorganize, human forces did not relax. Reconnaissance continued, predictive modeling was refined, and defensive positions were adjusted to anticipate the next engagement. Humanity had learned that patience and observation were as important as firepower. The subtle confidence of HFY was evident. Humans did not act rashly, but they acted decisively, exploiting every advantage and preparing for the inevitable continuation of the conflict. In the quiet moments between engagements, Earth's leaders reflected on the significance of tactics over technology. The battle was no longer merely a physical contest of weapons, it was a contest of minds. Every human decision, every calculated strike, and every coordinated maneuver was a testament to the species' capacity for problem-solving and resilience. The aliens were advanced, yes, but humanity had demonstrated that cleverness, observation, and adaptability could counter technological superiority. By the close of the tactical phase, a subtle but important transformation had occurred. Humanity was no longer reacting to the alien fleet, it was shaping the battle itself. Strategic positioning, calculated strikes, and adaptive maneuvers had slowed the fleet, forced adjustments, and created openings for future operations. The aliens had underestimated humanity's ability to learn quickly, think creatively, and exploit environmental and technological factors to their advantage. The lesson was clear. In this war, technology alone would not determine the outcome. Human intelligence, coordination, and strategy were force multipliers far more powerful than any single weapon. HFY did not mean invincibility, it meant capability, ingenuity, and the subtle confidence to meet impossible odds with skill, composure, and adaptability. Humanity had proven it could do more than survive. It could outthink, outmaneuver, and endure. As the alien fleet paused to recalibrate its formation, Earth's forces continued their silent preparations. Missile trajectories were refined, orbital positions optimized, and decoy systems adjusted. Every unit, every crew member, and every calculation contributed to a global strategy that combined observation, intelligence, and tactical innovation. Humanity had turned the cosmos itself into a tool of survival, leveraging the environment, timing, and coordination to offset technological disadvantages. The HFY moment was not dramatic. There were no explosions larger than Earth, no godlike maneuvers, and no impossible displays of strength. Instead, there was quiet competence, careful planning, and the subtle, intelligent application of strategy. Humanity had faced an overwhelming adversary and found a path to resilience, using intellect, preparation, and unity to transform vulnerability into advantage. As the stars of the outer solar system glimmered beyond observation platforms, humans across the planet understood a profound truth. The cosmos was vast, dangerous, and indifferent, but humanity was capable of meeting that danger with intelligence, adaptability, and strategic foresight. The alien fleet would not simply be delayed, it would be challenged in ways they could not predict. And in that understanding, humanity found confidence. Not arrogance, not invincibility, but the quiet assurance that strategy, coordination, and intellect could make the difference between survival and annihilation. Days of reconnaissance, probing strikes, and careful maneuvering had finally set the stage for humanity's first major tactical success against the alien fleet. The initial encounters had been tense and measured, with both sides gathering data and testing the other's limits. Yet, as the fleet advanced into the outer planets, a subtle pattern began to emerge. The aliens, despite their technological superiority, relied on rigid formations and predictable energy cycles. Humanity's long hours of observation and modeling had revealed a single critical insight. The fleet could be disrupted if approached with coordinated precision. Commanders across Earth and orbit convened for a synchronized strategy session. Every nation's military and scientific assets were pooled into a global decision network. Orbital platforms, drone swarms, and surface-based lasers were repositioned to exploit observed vulnerabilities. Asteroids were subtly nudged into intercept paths, creating barriers that slowed the alien fleet and forced them into predictable channels. Every calculation, every trajectory, and every maneuver had been refined to minimize risk while maximizing impact. The objective was clear: disrupt command structures and critical vessels to create a cascading effect through the fleet. Lieutenant Commander Akira Sato oversaw the human squadrons poised near Jupiter's orbit, where gravitational assists could amplify missile velocity. "We've observed that their shields recharge in cycles of roughly 20 minutes, he reported. "If we time strikes correctly, we can target multiple vessels simultaneously before they stabilize. This is our window." Onboard Polaris 7, Analysts plotted dozens of trajectories, each designed to exploit timing, gravity, and the fleet's predictable behavior. Precision was humanity's weapon, strategy, its shield. The first phase of the offensive involved coordinated strikes against alien support ships. Small human squadrons, using stealth drones and asteroid cover, targeted propulsion and energy modules. Missiles timed to exploit shield recharge cycles struck with calculated efficiency. Several alien ships were temporarily disabled, causing disruptions in formation and forcing their frontline vessels to adjust positions. It was not a dramatic annihilation, but the ripple effect was significant. Alien command structures had to respond, slowing their advance and exposing weaknesses to further human attacks. Simultaneously, electromagnetic interference measures disrupted alien communications across multiple vessels. The humans did not seek to destroy, but to confuse and delay. 4 critical windows of time, alien ships operated with degraded coordination, and human squadrons capitalized immediately. Strategic positioning of orbital platforms and drone swarms created layered zones of disruption, forcing alien units into predictable paths. Each maneuver was calculated to create cascading opportunities for follow-up strikes, compounding minor advantages into tangible gains. From Earth's perspective, the coordinated assault was a demonstration of subtle HFY confidence. Humans were not invincible, but they were intelligent, adaptive, and precise. Ground-based facilities tracked the engagement in real time, adjusting orbital platforms' firing arcs and updating predictive models based on live data. Every move the aliens made was analyzed and countered, not recklessly but methodically. Humanity's advantage lay not in raw power, but in the capacity to observe, calculate, and respond faster than the enemy could anticipate. The pivotal moment came when a group of human drones, guided by AI and protected by asteroid cover, managed to isolate a cluster of alien command ships. These vessels coordinated smaller support units, making them critical nodes in the fleet's operation. By targeting shields, propulsion, and energy channels simultaneously, humans created a temporary disruption in command flow. The aliens were forced to respond defensively, rearranging their formation and reducing the effectiveness of their advance. It was the turning point. Humanity had demonstrated that coordinated strategy could neutralize key advantages of the fleet, creating leverage where none seemed possible. As the battle unfolded, communication between human units was continuous, precise, and adaptive. Satellite arrays relayed information in milliseconds, allowing orbital platforms, drones, and human squadrons to respond almost instantaneously. Analysts on Earth used live data to adjust firing sequences, anticipate alien maneuvers, and recommend minor course corrections. Unlike the aliens, whose strategy appeared rigid, humanity thrived on adaptability. Every unexpected development became an opportunity rather than a setback. While the alien fleet remained technologically superior, the human offensive highlighted a crucial advantage: flexibility. Small, decentralized units could operate independently while maintaining coordination through shared intelligence. Human pilots and AI-guided drones adapted in real time, adjusting to energy bursts, shield fluctuations, and formation shifts. It was a quiet but profound demonstration of HFY. Survival did not require invulnerability, it required ingenuity, observation, and the ability to exploit the environment and enemy behavior. The disruption spread through the alien fleet in cascading fashion. Disabled command nodes delayed orders, creating gaps between vanguard and support vessels. Human squadrons executed rapid, coordinated strikes, exploiting these gaps to target energy cores, shield arrays, and propulsion systems. Each successful operation forced the aliens to expend additional energy, slow their approach, and adjust formations. What began as minor tactical wins snowballed into a tangible, measurable advantage. On the ground, scientists monitored the energy feedback from disabled alien vessels, feeding data back into predictive models. Every strike provided insight into alien engineering, shield regeneration cycles, energy pulse frequencies, and propulsion thresholds. This information was invaluable, allowing humanity to anticipate further behavior and refine subsequent phases of the engagement. The first day of major coordinated offensive had transformed human insight into operational advantage. Morale across human forces was high but measured. Crews recognized the stakes. The aliens were still formidable, and no single victory guaranteed ultimate survival. Yet the turning point demonstrated that patience, intelligence, and coordinated action could yield results far beyond what raw firepower alone might achieve. Humanity's HFY confidence, subtle, grounded, and strategic, was evident not in bravado but in calculated efficiency. By the close of the first major engagement phase, the alien fleet had slowed, disrupted, and partially fragmented. Key vessels had been disabled, command chains impaired, and formation integrity compromised. Humanity had gained the upper hand, not through superior technology, but through strategy, observation, and rapid adaptation. The turning point was subtle yet profound. Humans had proven they could exploit predictable behavior, leverage environmental factors, and apply intelligence to survive, and even succeed, against a far superior adversary. As the alien fleet reorganized beyond Uranus, Earth's forces did not rest. Data from the engagement was analyzed, trajectories refined, and new strategies developed. Orbital platforms were repositioned, drones prepared for rapid deployment, and human squadrons recalibrated for subsequent operations. Humanity had learned the value of preparation, observation, and adaptive tactics, lessons that would be critical in the battles yet to come. The HFY moment was quiet but undeniable. Humanity had faced an enemy with superior technology, advanced weaponry, and millennia of experience, and had not only survived, but gained a measurable advantage. The lesson was clear. Ingenuity, coordination, and strategy could offset disparities in power. Survival and eventual victory was possible, not because humans were invincible but because they were intelligent, adaptable, and capable of learning faster than the enemy expected. The first turning point in humanity's war against the alien fleet set the stage for the conflicts to come. With disrupted formations, disabled command nodes, and growing intelligence on alien behavior, Earth's forces had transformed from reactive defenders into proactive strategists. The battle was far from over, but the principle had been proven. In the vast expanse of space, tactical acumen, observation, and adaptability were humanity's greatest weapons. As the alien fleet retreated temporarily to reorganize, Earth's forces continued to monitor, prepare, and adapt. Missiles, drones, and orbital platforms were readied for subsequent operations, energy management optimized, and predictive models refined. Humanity had won a subtle but decisive victory, proving that strategy could shape the course of war even against an enemy that seemed unstoppable. In that quiet moment, humanity understood a profound truth. Technology alone does not determine the outcome of conflict. Intelligence, coordination, adaptability, and calculated risk-taking could transform weakness into strength, vulnerability into opportunity. HFY was not arrogance. It was competence, observation, and the quiet confidence to face the unimaginable and emerge stronger. The turning point had arrived. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. It was beginning to shape the battle itself. And for the first time, the alien fleet would have to acknowledge that while they might be technologically superior, humans were not to be underestimated. The initial turning point against the alien fleet was more than a tactical success. It was a profound lesson in the stakes of interstellar war. As the alien vessels retreated beyond the orbit of Uranus to regroup, humanity was left to assess the consequences of the engagement. The damage to Earth's orbital platforms was minimal compared to initial projections, but the psychological and strategic effects were immense. Humanity had survived the first true encounter, but survival brought responsibility, reflection, and urgent preparation for what lay ahead. Global command centers remained active long after the battle's conclusion. Analysts worked tirelessly, reviewing every data point from orbital platforms, drones, and surface-based sensors. Each strike, each shield cycle, each disrupted alien formation provided insight into enemy tactics and technology. Scientists and military strategists collaborated to interpret structural weaknesses, propulsion limitations, and energy cycle patterns in alien ships. What humans learned in hours could shape future engagements for weeks. The value of intelligence had never been clearer. Observation, analysis, and adaptability had turned the tide without the need for overwhelming force. The first consequence was immediate: humanity's sense of unity. Nations that had previously operated in isolation were now cooperating on an unprecedented scale. Data-sharing agreements were extended, AI-assisted predictive models were jointly developed, and orbital and ground-based forces were integrated into a single, coordinated network. The alien threat had catalyzed a level of global collaboration that decades of diplomacy had failed to achieve. Military commanders and scientists alike realized that humanity's strength lay in coordination as much as in technology. HFY was not boastfulness, it was intelligent action on a planetary scale. On Earth, the civilian population experienced a mixture of awe and anxiety. Media broadcasts detailed the battle in measured terms. Orbital defenses had engaged, the alien fleet had been partially disrupted, and humanity had survived with remarkable efficiency. Governments emphasized preparedness without panic, reminding citizens that survival had been achieved through intelligence and strategy. Emergency systems were reinforced, and industrial production shifted further toward supporting space defense. People across the globe, engineers, scientists, logistics operators, and volunteers, contributed to the larger effort, recognizing that survival required the entire species to act as one. The aftermath also highlighted vulnerabilities. While human forces had avoided catastrophic losses, damage to key satellites and early warning systems had exposed gaps in coverage. Supply chains for orbital weapons and missile interceptors faced strain, and energy distribution networks had been taxed to maintain continuous operations. These logistical challenges reinforced a subtle HFY truth: competence mattered, but so did foresight. Humans had survived not because of miracles, but because they acted decisively, learned quickly, and addressed weaknesses immediately. Earth's military leadership convened in global video conferences to determine the next phase of operations. The alien fleet's retreat offered a brief respite, but it was strategic, not conciliatory. Analysts warned that the aliens were reorganizing, likely to counter humanity's tactics in subsequent engagements. The lesson was stark: victory in one skirmish did not guarantee success in the campaign to come. Commanders emphasized preparation, adaptability, and continued intelligence gathering. Humanity's confidence was measured, grounded in competence rather than arrogance, a hallmark of HFY. The strategic implications extended beyond immediate defense. Scientists studying alien technology, some captured from disabled drones and disrupted support ships, began to understand advanced energy management, shield modulation, and propulsion systems. These insights had dual purposes: improving human defense capabilities and preparing for long-term interactions with extraterrestrial civilizations. Humanity had gained a foothold in understanding technology centuries beyond our own, not through reckless experimentation, but through careful observation, patience, and intelligent analysis. Civilians and governments alike faced societal consequences. Economies had been disrupted as resources were redirected toward defense. Space research programs, previously focused on exploration, were reoriented to tactical and defensive objectives. Educational institutions accelerated training in physics, orbital mechanics, and AI-based predictive modeling. The war, though initially a distant cosmic event, began shaping human society on a fundamental level. Humanity was learning to think as a species capable of surviving interstellar threats. Psychologically, the first engagement left a mark on human culture. People understood, viscerally, that the universe was not empty. Humanity was not alone, and survival required intelligence, coordination, and adaptability. Fear existed alongside awe. The enormity of the alien fleet underscored vulnerability, while successful defense reinforced competence. HFY confidence emerged not as arrogance, but as the quiet, grounded understanding that humans could rise to unprecedented challenges through ingenuity and collaboration. In the orbital platforms, crews reflected on the battle's subtle lessons. Lieutenant Commander Akira Sato observed the fleet's remaining ships through telescopic sensors. "They're still strong," he noted. "But they're learning, and we are learning faster. The advantage lies with those who can adapt." Across the globe, similar assessments were made. Humanity had survived, disrupted, and gained intelligence, but the war was far from over. Every observation informed the next step. Humanity also faced the challenge of diplomacy and communication, or the impossibility thereof. Signals intercepted from alien vessels suggested awareness and intelligence, but intent remained unclear. Were the aliens invaders, explorers, or a combination of both? Regardless, the human response could not rely on assumptions. The lesson was clear: strategy, preparation, and observation would dictate survival. Human adaptability, ingenuity, and foresight had allowed a turning point, but continued vigilance was essential. In the following days, Earth's forces refined their operations. Missile systems were calibrated based on observed shield frequencies. Orbital drone patterns were optimized to maximize coverage while minimizing risk. AI predictive models were improved with each data point collected during engagement. The human species, despite limitations, demonstrated an extraordinary capacity to integrate intelligence, technology, and strategy into coherent action. HFY was not about power, it was about capability, preparation, and adaptability in the face of unprecedented odds. The consequences of the first encounter were both practical and philosophical. Humanity realized that survival in the cosmos required more than advanced technology. It required discipline, coordination, patience, and ingenuity. Individual heroism mattered less than collective intelligence. Every engineer, operator, scientist, and strategist played a role in maintaining Earth's survival. The subtle HFY confidence came from knowing that humans could act effectively on a planetary scale, combining intellect, observation, and coordination to face challenges that had once seemed insurmountable. Global communications reflected a newfound seriousness. Public awareness campaigns emphasized preparedness and the importance of unity. Educational programs focused on STEM and strategic thinking received unprecedented support. Communities participated in simulations and drills, fostering a culture of competence and resilience. Humanity was adapting not only to a tactical challenge but to the reality of its place in the universe. Survival depended not on luck, but on the intelligent application of knowledge, skill, and coordination. As the alien fleet regrouped beyond Neptune, Earth's forces did the same. Supply chains, manufacturing networks, and energy distribution systems were reinforced. Orbital platforms and human squadrons were repositioned to anticipate potential attacks. Every engagement provided insight, and humanity was prepared to apply that insight with precision and efficiency. The subtle confidence of HFY was evident. Humans had faced superior forces, survived, learned, and adapted. The planet had demonstrated that intelligence and strategy could match, and sometimes exceed, raw technological advantage. The aftermath also forced humanity to consider long-term implications. Captured alien drone fragments provided new perspectives on energy efficiency, communication methods, and propulsion technology. Human researchers began laying the groundwork for integrating these lessons into future defense planning and interstellar exploration. The first encounter had been more than a battle. It was a revelation. Survival, adaptation, and intelligence were humanity's greatest weapons. In the quiet that followed, Earth collectively understood a profound truth. The universe was vast, dangerous, and indifferent. Humanity's survival depended not on miracles or supernatural power, but on observation, intelligence, coordination, and adaptability. The first major engagement had yielded both tactical advantage and strategic insight. Humanity had survived, learned, and prepared for the next phase of the war. HFY confidence was not arrogance. It was the grounded awareness that, through skill, strategy, and unity, the species could confront even the most formidable challenges and endure. The war was far from over, but the first turning point had consequences that would resonate across generations. Earth's forces had demonstrated resilience, ingenuity, and adaptability on an unprecedented scale. The alien fleet had been disrupted, intelligence gathered, and human society had learned the stakes of interstellar survival. In that moment, humanity realized its capacity for competence, collaboration, and perseverance. The first engagement's aftermath was a blend of caution and confidence. Plans were adjusted, forces redeployed, and humanity prepared for the next engagement with the alien fleet. The subtle HFY confidence that had emerged, born from intelligence, strategy, and collaboration, was now embedded in every aspect of global defense. Survival had been achieved, lessons had been learned, and the stage was set for future engagements. Humanity was no longer merely reacting. It was anticipating, adapting, and shaping the battlefield. The alien fleet had withdrawn beyond Neptune, leaving the solar system momentarily quiet but far from safe. Humanity had survived the first major encounters, had disrupted enemy formations, and had begun to understand the scale, tactics, and technology of an interstellar adversary. But survival alone was not enough. The last days of battle had revealed vulnerabilities, illuminated strengths, and taught lessons that would define humanity's future in the cosmos. Across Earth and in orbital command centers, the mood was sober yet determined. Lieutenant Commander Akira Sato observed the remnants of the alien formations through deep space sensors. "They're reorganizing," he said. "And they will return probably stronger, smarter, and more cautious. But so will we." That simple statement encapsulated the emerging philosophy of humanity. Survival was not a matter of luck or raw power, but of intelligence, preparation, and adaptability. The first lesson was the importance of observation and patience. From the earliest alerts of the alien fleet's approach to the first probing strikes, human forces had learned that understanding the enemy's behavior was as crucial as delivering attacks. Predictive modeling, live reconnaissance, and meticulous analysis allowed humanity to exploit patterns in the aliens' shields, communications, and formation tactics. Every engagement had reinforced the value of intelligence over impulse. HFY was not about arrogance. It was about competence and strategic foresight. Global cooperation emerged as the second equally critical lesson. For decades, nations had debated resource allocation, military priorities, and technological research in isolation. The alien threat forced unprecedented collaboration. Orbital platforms were networked worldwide, drones and missiles were coordinated across continents, and scientific expertise was shared freely to maximize predictive capabilities. Humanity had demonstrated that the species could act as a unified intelligence, capable of harnessing collective knowledge to overcome challenges far beyond individual capabilities. The third lesson was the subtle power of adaptability. In every engagement, human forces encountered technology far beyond their own. Alien propulsion systems, energy shields, and weaponry that defied conventional understanding. Yet humans did not panic, did not rely on blind heroics, and did not wait for luck. Instead, they observed, learned, and adjusted. Orbital platforms were repositioned, decoy systems deployed, and kinetic strategies refined. The universe, hostile and indifferent, could be navigated through intellect and ingenuity. Humanity's greatest weapon was the ability to learn faster than the enemy anticipated. Practical lessons extended beyond the battlefield. Supply chains, logistics, and manufacturing networks had been stress-tested under conditions previously unimaginable. Orbital platforms required precise maintenance. Drone and missile systems depended on uninterrupted energy distribution. Human coordination across time zones, disciplines, and technical specialties had proven essential. The subtle HFY confidence was born not from the absence of danger, but from the knowledge that the species could meet extraordinary challenges with preparation, intelligence, and resilience. The psychological impact on human society was equally profound. For the first time, civilians understood the universe's vastness and the stakes of interstellar survival. Yet instead of panic, there emerged a sense of purpose. Engineers, scientists, and operators realized their contributions mattered. Students and educators recognized the value of applied knowledge. HFY confidence had permeated society. Humanity was not invincible, but it was capable, intelligent, and adaptable. This awareness reshaped culture, education, and global priorities, fostering a species better prepared for the challenges of the cosmos. Strategically, humanity recognized the importance of continuous learning and flexibility. The alien fleet, despite its initial disruptions, remained a formidable opponent. Every victory revealed insights but also highlighted areas for improvement. Orbital arrays were reinforced, predictive AI models refined, and contingency plans expanded. Drones were redesigned for efficiency, missile systems recalibrated, and energy management optimized. The lesson was clear. Survival demanded constant evolution, not complacency. HFY confidence was measured, grounded in the reality that intelligence and preparation would determine future outcomes. The battle had also illuminated the value of decentralized decision-making. Small human squadrons and drone units had often operated semi-independently, responding to local conditions while feeding intelligence back to central command. The flexibility of these units allowed humanity to exploit brief windows of opportunity, create cascading effects in enemy formations, and maintain operational momentum. Unlike the alien fleet, which relied on rigid hierarchies, human adaptability was a force multiplier. Subtle, intelligent, and grounded. From a technological perspective, the engagement revealed both limitations and opportunities. Alien vessels possessed propulsion systems, energy shields, and weapons beyond current human capability. Yet weaknesses were exposed. Shield recharge cycles, predictable energy patterns, and the vulnerability of key command nodes. Humans learned to leverage physics, orbital mechanics, and timing to maximize the impact of limited resources. The lesson was profound. Intelligence, observation, and strategy could overcome disparities in raw technology. HFY was the embodiment of capability, not omnipotence. Socially, humanity had grown in cohesion and maturity. International collaboration extended beyond military objectives to scientific research, space exploration, and resource management. Societies recognized the importance of education, technical literacy, and public resilience. Individuals contributed in diverse ways, from operating drones to analyzing sensor data, from manufacturing precision components to managing energy networks. Survival was a collective achievement, and HFY confidence was expressed not through individual heroics, but through shared competence and responsibility. The alien fleet, while temporarily regrouping, had unknowingly provided humanity with invaluable insights. Every maneuver, strike, and formation revealed patterns to be exploited in future engagements. Humans had demonstrated that even against a superior adversary, careful observation, strategic thinking and adaptation could yield significant advantages. HFY confidence was subtle yet undeniable. Humanity did not boast of invincibility but understood its capability to survive, learn, and adapt faster than any enemy might expect. Looking forward, humanity recognized that survival depended on preparedness for both expected and unforeseen challenges. Orbital platforms, drone systems, and missile arrays were reinforced. Predictive AI networks continuously updated with new data. Training programs for operators, analysts, and strategists were expanded. Humanity was learning not just to fight, but to think as a planetary species, capable of anticipating threats, coordinating responses, and leveraging intellect to shape outcomes. The final lesson was philosophical. The universe was vast, indifferent, and potentially hostile, but humanity had demonstrated that intelligence, coordination, and resilience were powerful forces. Survival was not guaranteed, but it was achievable through competence and adaptation. The subtle HFY confidence that emerged from this realization was not arrogance. It was the quiet assurance that humans could rise to extraordinary challenges, protect their world, and endure as a species. As orbital platforms recalibrated and human squadrons prepared for the possibility of renewed engagement, the lesson crystallized. The battle against the alien fleet was not just a test of firepower, but a test of intellect, coordination, and perseverance. Humanity had survived, disrupted a superior force, and begun to shape the future of interstellar engagement. The HFY moment was subtle yet profound. Intelligence, observation, and collaboration had proven as decisive as any weapon. In the aftermath, Earth's leaders convened to discuss long-term strategy. Resources would continue to be allocated to defense, intelligence gathering, and technological advancement. Scientific research would focus on understanding alien technology, improving predictive models, and preparing for sustained conflict or eventual diplomacy. The human species had proven its capacity for ingenuity, adaptability, and resilience, the true essence of HFY confidence. Finally, humanity embraced a renewed sense of purpose. Every individual, from the orbital operator to the logistics coordinator, from the scientist analyzing alien energy signatures to the student studying orbital mechanics, played a role in the species' survival and advancement. HFY was not about heroics or invincibility. It was about competence, intelligence, and the quiet, grounded confidence to meet the universe's challenges head-on. Humanity had survived, learned, and adapted, and in doing so had proven that even in a vast, indifferent cosmos, the species was capable, resilient, and ready for the future.